back to that. So I will start right away with the youth actions with partner countries. So as you know, our president, Ursula von der Leyen, announced that 22 would be the European Year of Youth. And these are activities, so the Year of Youth is not focused on partner countries, of course, but partner countries are an important element, and I will come to that right away after just recalling some of the main features of the European Year of Youth. So the aim of the activities in this framework is to increase the awareness, the knowledge, the visibility of youth-related issues to young people across the EU and beyond. And it's the and beyond part, of course, which is important in this sentence. So what's the vision? The vision is that young people are change makers, and they are essential partners in the implementation of the famous 2030 agenda for sustainable development. Also for the implementation of the Paris Agreement. I'm sorry with the mic, I tried to keep it at the same distance. And also for all the green transition, the digital transformations. So the young people are key actors for all this. And the aim towards partner countries is to ensure that the EU external action contributes to youth empowerment, leadership, participation at political, social, and economic levels. So that you have heard already many times. But what is original in this particular action is that at the same time there is a mobilization of all efforts to go in that one direction during 1 year. So yes, it is a short, yes, the actions that will be initiated in the framework of the Year of Youth will continue in another way afterwards. But having 1 year focused on youth gives an impulse, gives a dynamic, and that's the point. Of course, life continues after 22, but the aim is that the seeds that will have been sowed now might grow and deliver results in later stage. So the aim is to facilitate the participation of young people so that they can feel empowered and that they can contribute to the decision making, to the policy making, and that they are included. So inclusion here also is an important term. The plan will cover all regions of the world, so not only neighboring partner countries, but primarily neighboring partner countries. In terms of content, it will put forward youth-related actions structured along the main topics of the EU external action. And the key areas of the 2030 agenda that I referred to a bit earlier. So the idea is to see youth participation and empowerment as a cross-cutting policy, to be mainstream within all sectoral policies, is to bring together different strands, trying to improve, I know it's not always perfect, the consistency of the EU external action. We have many instruments, we have many services, but I think, frankly, it's a bit the same in the member states. In the member states, you also have a Ministry of Foreign Affairs strictly, and then a development ministry, a humanitarian aid ministry, and what you want, plus all the economic sectors. So in the sense, the imperfection of the EU level are reflected also at national level, and nobody so far has found a way to have only one kind of ministry dealing with everything, because it doesn't work. So we have to live with this difference, and these differences are also a sort of rich, blending. So the aim, when we do something in the external action, the aim is that not only it works for one particular policy line, but that it allows consistency with the others. So that's one of the aim also of this youth action plan. Of course, to include young people in most vulnerable situations. That's clear. I will not develop this point. I think you all know what that means. Um, Integrate youth issues into policy dialogues with partner countries. So that's also important that when there is a policy dialogue, youth features high on the agenda of the discussions. And that's also something which is not always an instinct, and that gradually is becoming an instinct, and that is, I think, a big progress. In the context of the Year of Youth, there are also our colleagues from DG NEAR have planned to organize EU for Youth Days 22 with a conference day and a knowledge sharing day that will involve participants from all the NEAR regions, so neighboring countries. The plan initially was to have this event in March, but because of the war in Ukraine, it was postponed to mid-October. And the themes of focus will be supporting youth in building resilience in the face of war and conflict. That is unfortunately very timely. Climate change, COVID-19 impact, and all youth stakeholders from partner countries will be invited to join. So it will be inclusive in that sense, either in presence or online. The event is planned to be hybrid, so both should be possible. And then later in the year, there will be also the publication of the EU Action Plan on Youth in External Action to guide the EU's further engagement with the youth in the world. And this is a follow-up to the June 2020 Council conclusions on youth in external action. Voilà, all DGs will be associated to this process. The aim again is to conclude on this point, is to boost the participation of the young in the development of the policies themselves, and to make youth engagement a core element of the EU's foreign policy and public diplomacy. Voilà, that was maybe the most institutional part of my intervention, but I could not do it. That's in this year 22. This is something which is really high on the agenda of the Commission. Now maybe I'll come to, and with no transition, I will come to maybe a point which is of more direct interest to you, this issue of the infamous issue of the 25%. So, as you know, just to summarize what it is about, is this notion of around 25% should be spent with partners. And currently, it's calculated on the overall budget for KA1 in E+. And then the NAs grant the quality projects, including partners from third countries, until the ceiling is reached. So basically, it's like a pot of money is there, a quarter of the overall sum, and then you draw from it, and when it's over, it's over. So the risk is that if you come too late, there's nothing left. So there is a risk of exhaustion of funds. Maybe some of you have been confronted to it directly. There is a risk of penalizing applicants who cooperate with third countries, where there is a high demand. The way it's interpreted by some NAs and by other NAs is not consistent. And so, as a result, you don't have a kind of a level playing field in a way. You don't have a homogeneous approach. And that was also one of the reasons why this issue has come up a few months ago. So the Commission's reaction was to try to find a bit more information through a survey, which is the classic way, a survey that was sent to the national agencies, and 20 responded, which allowed us to understand a bit better. And so the focus of the survey was 2018, sorry, to 2021. And the results confirm there is quite a big variety of interpretations. For instance, some NAs stop firmly at 25%. Some interpret the around 25% more flexibly. Some ask for amendments if the demand is big and the quality high. Some discourage the cooperation when the funds are small. And this means that from one country to another, the chances and the competition are just not the same. So that is becoming a problem. And that's how we see it. And also the demand varies. The demand is not at the same level in every country, obviously. And so some NAs might reach the 25% limit quite quickly, while others never reach it, and so probably don't even see the problem of this issue of 25%. So another interesting information from the survey was that most national agencies have granted projects with an average share of third country organizations under 25%. So that's what has been done. That's the facts, that's the figures, that's the statistics. So that's already a reality. More than most NAs have not reached the 25% threshold. I think that's an important conclusion. Only 2 NAs have an average share above 35. And 13 NAs believe it would be important to have an approach where only the actual costs incurred by the third country participants are taken into account. So only the cost linked to the partner from the third country. And 14 NAs prefer an approach which allows partners to be from non-program countries to be associated in all projects. And almost all want an approach that is transparent, easy to understand, and to implement. So that's, of course, what we are trying to see how we can help to do. So the reflection we are having now is to have in the next program guide, so in the call 23, a better defined approach to this 25% ceiling. Because keeping things as they are, I think, is just not an option, especially when we see the results of the survey. We will keep having the same problem of risks of funds being exhausted and unequal access to the funding. We also need to bear in mind that we are in heading 2, and the possibility of awarding up to 25% is already quite exceptional. It's not the case for other headings, which are at a lower level. So we are already in a kind of exceptionally high, even if I understand here we would like all to increase it. But we have to be reasonable and understand that it's already quite high as it is. Now we have to make it work. We have to make it work better so that the aims are also achieved. It's also important to remind that the 25% is a ceiling. It's not an objective per se, it's a ceiling. So while I've explained just a few minutes ago that this ceiling could be hit earlier in some places and hence cause problems, it's not an objective that all NAs reach 25%. So it's not written anywhere in the regulation or in the guide. So this has also to be remembered. While striving to get as high as possible, we can't kind of make it an obligation. and we need a solution which is fair. So what we would propose is the approach already implemented for higher education and vocational educational training, which focus on the latest granted budget in each project, which would allow broad participation from partners to potentially fund more participants from these countries, as only the expenses incurred to them would be taken into account. And then any proposal could include them as partners. That would avoid the risk of exhaustion of funds in some countries. It would be transparent. It would be hopefully easy to understand by everybody. And it would help discontinue this divergence of interpretations. There would be one harmonized interpretation. And it would require less monitoring from the NAs, because they would not need anymore to estimate the overall budget uptake for activities ex ante. They would just, the applicants will just see the costs summed up in a separate column for the third country participants. And in that sense, it would be much easier for the NAs too. So we plan to introduce this change in the draft guide and see if it flies. NAs have been consulted already. Many of them have replied, especially since the deadline has passed. And now we are looking at the comments from the NAs and to see how we can take this further. But we believe the approach would address most, if not all, of the limitations and of the constraints of the current system, which indeed is not very easy to understand, and it leads to very unequal results. I know this issue is a bit contentious, and I hope what I have explained hopefully will address some of the concerns you have. If it's not the case, please, there will be a chance for exchanges after I finish, which will be soon. As I announced at the beginning, I also would like to give you a word about this new voluntary European Humanitarian Aid Corps. Oof. The EU jargon is not always light, but that's the way it is. What it is, I think you know, it's the follow-up to EUAV, EU Aid Volunteers. So the aim is to send young people around the world to do volunteering in humanitarian aid. So it would not be, just to clarify, it would not be humanitarian aid in the sense of emergency response, like what DG ECHO does. It would be, I don't know, we don't yet know exactly how to call it. We start calling it long-term humanitarian aid, which makes it, in a sense, a bit development. So it's a bit in the nexus linking relief, rehabilitation, and development. So in practice, we would not be sending kids around in the middle of hurricanes to save babies, because they're not trained enough to do that. When the really acute situation happen, you need real professionals who can act and know what they're doing, and they are there within 36 hours and they leave after a few days. What the volunteers of this new corps would do would be to either staying in the area of disasters. What they would do would prepare local communities to be resilient for future disasters. So disaster preparedness, having capabilities in place if a disaster occurs. And then another facet of what the volunteers could do is come a while after the disaster has occurred and deal with the aftermath, deal with the consequences. Refugees, IDPs, health, gender, nutrition. I mean, you have a swath of different implications. A disaster occurs in one day, but the consequences stay for months and years. And there is, once the cameras are away, once the news have switched to something else, there is still a lot of work to do. And we believe young people could bring added value in this task. So that will be the focus. Now, where do partner countries come in? Simply because in order for a project to be approved, it needs two support organizations from program countries and at least one organization from a host country. And only those organizations from third countries who have been awarded the quality label for humanitarian aid will be eligible for projects, which means, and I'm coming to the end of my reasoning, and thank you for having stayed with me all the time, is that if you have in your countries, respective countries of the EU neighborhood, if you have organizations that have applied and been granted the quality label, they will be in a very strong position to be part of projects, because it is compulsory to have organizations from host countries. So the organizations from program countries are looking for partners in host countries. So if you have many good, hopefully good, organizations who have the quality label, who are therefore eligible in your respective countries in the EU neighborhood, I mean the countries you are covering, let's be clear, then they will be very likely part of projects. Of course, it's not a given, but only they can be part of projects. So they will be competing with other organizations from other host countries. So then it will be for them to put forward their qualities and their advantages and their assets. But this is, for me, I think it's a gold mine, because the role of the host organizations is compulsory. The projects cannot happen without them, contrary to many other EU actions in the area of youth, where it's nice to have a third country organization. There it's indispensable. And so far, 100 quality labels have been attributed. So that means there are not so many, including, the 100, including program countries. I don't have the figure for the host countries, but it's let's say 60 maybe maximum, or 50. I should have looked again at the numbers. Sorry for that. Anyway, that means there are not so many who have the quality label, and there are not so many who can participate, and it's indispensable to have some. So if you push, if you encourage, if you stimulate, if you support organizations in the countries you are covering, well, they will have a big chance. Finally, a few words about my first steps in this field, and how I see cooperation could be improved. As I discussed with a few of you since yesterday, I'm quite convinced that we need to also focus on the mutual benefits. That was one of the discussions we had yesterday. We need to ensure also that organizations in program countries get something out of the cooperation. If the cooperation is presented only as something which is done a little bit out of not charity, but out of politically correctness, to have partner organizations, it's not, I don't think it will work very well. I think it will work very well the day when the organizations and stakeholders in program countries will see the benefit they get from working with partner countries. And when they see the benefits for themselves, then they will be motivated. And then they will move the earth and ground and skies to get cooperation moving, because they will get something out of it in the end. So I'm sure they already get something, but maybe they don't always realize it. And maybe they're not always able to put numbers and facts and concrete deliverables and results in the face of the cooperation. So I will not develop this because I'm still learning and trying to understand better the dynamics. But I'm quite convinced there is a marketing effort to do towards partner country stakeholders to convince them that they are missing a chance, and that if they don't seize this chance, they will lose in the end. Everybody will lose. Of course, the partner countries will lose. And of course, it's always visible that there are more demandeurs than the program countries. So we must make the program countries demandeurs. And I know it's easy to say. I don't have the magical recipe yet. I'm not sure I will find it. But I will try. And I think we can all try together. And I think that would be, for me, that would be the best angle to try to change perceptions. I think there is a perception that working with partner countries is a drag, is a burden, is going to make things complex. Yes, the people might not get their visas, so the whole thing might fall apart. And it's just so much easier to deal only with the program countries. Yes, we are between ourselves. There's no surprise, there's no risk, fine. But there is so much you could have and learn and do with maybe getting a little bit out of your comfort zone. So the issue is how to convince people to get out of their comfort zone, and it's not easy. And of course, their instinct will be to stay in their comfort zone because they know they've already done it, or they know someone who has. And so if by showing best practices of real cases, you can prove that a particular project yielded results also for the program countries, I think we will have made a giant step. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Also, thank you, just a second. Also, thank you for this powerful closing, I would say, and I hope the message stays with all of us. But there were quite a few, actually, points tackled during the talk, Pierre. And we wanted to, I saw some hands up, but we will not do the hands up this time, yeah? Just bear with me, yeah? So the invitation will be basically that you spend, when we say go, so not immediately, spend 5 minutes buzzing with your neighbors, yeah? So the people next to you. It's your immediate neighbor, yeah? Program, neighboring partner countries. So to buzz for 5 minutes, and while you're doing that, I just realized I'm not in the broadcast, but hopefully the voice broadcasts. To also go to menti.com, if you remember it before. So I think I need to join you, Pierre. So to go to Mentimeter and leave your questions there. The buzzing is there to support you, maybe to share the things that you've heard, and maybe you get new ideas and new questions. But basically, we will be collecting questions through the Menti. And we are using an option on Mentimeter where you can also upvote each other's questions. So in this way, we will find out which questions are the most pressing in the room, and we will tackle them first. We have no illusions that we will manage to go through all of them, because I've seen many phones going up and scanning the QR code. But we will do our best in this session, and plus, as we promised, we will come back to some of them, and some will be taken away to Brussels and other offices around Europe. All right? So 5 minutes, you buzz among each other, make sure that you type your questions in the Mentimeter, and then we will pick them up in 5 minutes. And to upvote, yeah, because we only start from the top questions. Good. Thank you. Enjoy.
Since I didn't have a PowerPoint, if it helps, I can share the main.
So here you have your questions. For now, we have 2.
By all means. By all means. Yeah, but I mean, You're the master of ceremonies. Unless I said something totally wrong and...
No, there was nothing wrong in it. It just, I don't think it came across that it's 25% of a project budget that you're referring to and what that means for projects. Maybe some understood it.
I assumed everybody knew that, but maybe I was wrong.
No, I don't think it's
Okay,
so far,
sorry for that.
It has only been really known amongst JNAs, and it's not been made public because the new program guide is not public yet. Yeah? But as we're talking about the 25% and they're going into project planning, I think it would be fair for them to consider
No, that's up to you.
implications.
I have nothing against it.
So I don't want to contradict anything.
No, but you
said.
could,
I
you
just
could.
want to add and make it clear to what it happens. I mean, I spoke to all the other nations and they share my views of what implications it would have. And maybe this would be good if they could be aware of that.
No, I'm sure it would be useful. The question is when, and but I leave it to you. I saw you were looking at your watch. I was a bit too long. Okay. Yeah.
If you want to check,
Please, I'm curious.
yeah, just to know what is waiting for you.
Yes, yes, yes. Ta-da!
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where's the first one? I didn't see that. Sorry.
How the quality label is done for the... Okay,
That's easy.
okay.
Technical, yeah.
Okay.
Which upcoming project? The upcoming project.
Probably everything you said at the beginning, I guess.
I think we need to ask for a
Yeah, yeah,
clarification.
Yeah.
Because that's...
Yeah.
Could be many things. To review... I said everything I knew. I'm not familiar with this. So.
Then you
That's
take it
okay.
up, and then we
That's
see.
okay.
Yeah.
Enough anymore. How can I elegantly pass this to...
Well, if it will not, then not.
I have no clue.
Then you ask.
I have no clue.
Okay.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Well, it is a little bit. Because it's a new strand with a new
for the
quality
humanitarian
label,
aid.
which is... Yeah, I also talked about humanitarian aid.
Okay,
So I
we
assume...
can, okay.
But I will maybe
Okay.
emphasize that it's...
Yeah, yeah.
The quality label for the other action hasn't changed.
Okay.
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 Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, that is clear.
For CBY, I don't know.
Because this is where we, in our regions, this is our main.
I avoided talking about
I know.
CBY because of the Eastern.
Yeah. And also Western Balkans. Yeah. Anymore. But
That's
we.
why I didn't
Yeah.
talk about it.
I know. And you.
And
Okay.
I don't know about the number of calls.
All right. Tucker. Tucker.
Excuse me?
Everything.
No, wait.
I'm on the-
But I will. All right. So welcome back. We hope, and that's why they're called buzz groups. Yeah, they're very quick. We know probably for some of you needed more time, but they will time will come in the afternoon. Before we continue and pass the questions back to Pierre, we have one comment from Guido from the German National Agency, which is to complement what was said about the 25%, just to maybe raise awareness also from the NA perspective. So maybe that's additional information for you to consider and potentially then ask questions or leave comments. Yeah?
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, I heard what you said about the 25%, and I'm not sure that everybody is aware of the implication it may have at a project level. And it will, as soon as you're going into project planning after this, or into developing ideas of cooperation, maybe it would be good to just know what it means. So that it's basically 25% of a project budget can be spent on the cooperation with partner countries. That would mean that bilateral projects are not possible. Trilateral projects are not possible because they would automatically have more than 25% of the budget spent on partner countries. It would also mean that balanced partnerships between partner countries and program countries are not possible anymore. Because that has been our preaching, basically, I must say, for the last 25 years, that we want a balanced, a fair partnership. And that would not be possible, so your projects within KA1, if that rule will be applied, will be considerably different and with a different approach from what it has been so far. And I just wanted you to be aware of it when you go into planning and in taking that into consideration.
Thank you very
That's
much.
for you
So
to
maybe we
decide.
take this question because it's related to this, and then we go to Mendel as well. Thank you,
I
Guido.
would just like to clarify that all I said is still ideas in progress. It's not decided yet formally. The consultations of the NAs just took place. My colleagues in charge of this particular area are working on it. I've told you what they believe would be the good way. But please, it's a very sensitive topic. I've tried to be transparent with you because I thought it would be interesting for most of you. But please treat it with care. Don't spread it in a too affirmative way until it's really decided.
Decided it's too late, maybe. Can we do anything like to also voice ourselves and write some petition or something? Because I don't think that it really makes sense.
What the ideas we are proposing?
So the question, I think, is whether, because as Georgi was
Yeah,
saying,
yeah.
once it's decided, it's decided. Yeah?
Once
So
it's
there is
decided,
nothing-
it will be decided.
So is there any
but
way to
following
influence it?
following consultation of NAs, all NAs are consulted on this and on all the features of the guide. By the way, like every year. So the Commission doesn't decide in its corner, we will change this like that without consulting. So the consultation is underway or was just finished, and then we will see what comes out of it. So I kind of gave you the flavor of what could happen, but please don't treat it as something which is carved in stone. It's not. It might not happen if whatever, there might be some argument saying, well, the proposals I've just outlined don't work or are not realistic or what. So again, I've tried to be transparent. Please use it with caution.
I see the hands, but the reason why we introduced, and thank you for the additional information, Mentimeter is to make sure that we capture the questions that are coming from the audience and the numbers and people are pressing upvote. Yeah. So I know that will upset some of you, and that's okay. I can live with that. So we will be taking the questions from Mentimeter from the top. Yeah. And if you have a questions related to this, do put it because the Mentimeter is still open. And for the rest of the people, please monitor the questions so you can upvote it. So if this question comes back, then we take it up again. All right, good. So the first question that we have, apparently 1 out of 27, so the most popular one says, how, and we have it here as well. Yeah, here.
Thank you.
It's very convenient. And although I'm looking here, is how the quality label is done for the humanitarian aid. Thank you very much, the best students in front. And how long does it take to get it?
So it's done by EAKEA, the executive agency, because the humanitarian aid strand, I should have stressed that, is a centralized action. So NAs are not directly involved. It's all directly done at central level by the agency, the executive agency, I mean. How long does it take to get it? The cutoff date is in September, I think 24 September. The organizations receive the reply, I think, within maximum 6 months, and it can be less. So organizations can apply throughout the year, so it's a constant process, and the agency makes 2 evaluations per year. So one was finished in March, I think, for the applications from September. and there were 100 awarded. And now we are currently evaluating the subsequent batch, and I think there are 16. And the answer is due in September, but I think we will be, since there are not so many, we will be able to do it in 4 months instead of 6.
Thank you. Then I press enter because the question is answered.
Yes, I hope so.
What is enter here?
Next.
Next. No, but I want to. Thank you very much. That's enter? Believe it or not. Good.
So, ESC individual volunteering day rate is not enough anymore to rent a room in many cities. Will it be increased? I unfortunately do not have the answer. So I'm not able to answer now. Sorry, I don't know.
But you will come back to us with an answer.
By all means, but not right now.
I don't press enter.
In the project consortium, so what project consortium? Are we talking about humanitarian aid? Or about other projects?
Key action 1.
I guess. I don't know. I assume I'm not very familiar with KO1, honestly. I'll be honest. I'm discovering it right now. I'm much more familiar with the Solidarity Corps because I've been working for that for 1 year. The KA1 I've just started like last month, and so honestly I don't know. For me it would make sense, but
Okay, but maybe we check because we do have colleagues here who might have an answer.
I do know that I have a project approved by Austrian MA, so it's obviously possible. I put the question because many people do not know, do not sure about it.
So basically you wanted to make a statement that it's possible to include. Okay, then we do it this way, yeah? Sorry, yeah, maybe the
question
title was
and the
misleading.
answer.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, for those of you who do not know, it is possible to have in the consortium more partners from more than one partner region.
thank you.
Sorry?
So the question is answered.
But not encouraged. So yeah, okay, but not encouraged. Yeah, so it's possible. Is it an addition to this, Jonas? Okay, so if you can, if you can give.
To the budget allocation for KA1 projects, partner countries, yeah, if it's encouraged or not. I did not really understand it, actually.
Can you take the microphone? Thank you.
So that's what I wanted to ask before. So what was the proposal now on how to allocate the partner country budgets in the projects? But it is very strongly tied to this, yeah, because I had the problem last year. We have built for many years cooperations with organizations in partner countries, and we applied for the first annual project in the new accreditation in Key Action 1, and then saw our funds cut because somehow rules changed in Germany. And so I wouldn't say it's encouraged because, yeah, but it depends on how it is implemented now, not if. So I understood now that 25% of the overall budget is should be in the future flown to partner country organizations in projects, but then Guido stepped up and somehow explained it a little different, because the way Guido explained it, I wouldn't like it. And I think how I understood it at first, okay, I think it makes sense. For me, it means that when I have a seminar with 50% organizations from partner countries, another organization needs to do a 100% program country seminar, and we're fine overall. So that's what I understood at first, but if it's not like this, I think it's
project per project. The plan is project per project, 25%, ceiling project per project, taking into account only the expenses from partners.
Okay, so.
But can I just, yeah, Sonia, you would like to add, we have more microphones. So clearly our Menti plan has fallen through, but that's fine.
So, but this means that's...
No.
But can we just have a word to Sonia? Sorry, we're just trying to have some flow here. Yeah, Sonia?
You can also explain further. No, but what I understand is you're talking about activities within the project also. And I think per activity you can have an activity with the same amount of participants from partner and program countries. if you have within the same project another activity, which then maybe has only partners from program countries, so that overall in the project you have a quota maximum.
It's at the level of the project. And not at the level overall.
Yeah, that's the question. Is it the budget of the national agency? Is it my budget?
It's the budget of of each project. Ceiling is
Okay.
25%.
So, but this means only 25% of my participants can come from partner countries in my project.
In some actions of your project, you can as Sonia just outlined, you can balance between different actions in the same project, but the total will be counted for the project.
Okay, so that's not good.
Okay, but we had
Point taken.
very good. So as you announced, this is a very hot topic. And
It
I
is,
think
it is, I know.
Clearly felt in the room. We have Guido and we have Tomek, and I would like to see, because I think what we can clearly hear is a concern, yeah,
Yep.
about this 25%. And what we can clearly hear is this needs to be then taken and consulted and fed back to the Commission. So what I would like to prevent is more kind of just saying we are concerned. I think this we get, and the concern is there, and it's not being diminished. Yeah, it's just more if you have clarifying questions or clarifying answers that we take at this moment.
Just a very brief clarifying answer. We talked about different things. We talked about activities and projects, or one application for one project, one application for more than one project or activities, as we call them. And we're talking about accreditation. And I think it has to be differentiated between the three forms of applications or of ways of applying for projects. But it's too difficult and too complicated to go into detail now. Just saying, quite the simplification you're wishing for, it isn't. Because there
Point
are
taken.
all these different kind of projects still there as well. And that makes it difficult. So
Point taken. And just to say, if you were saying that it's difficult now to explain what is the difference between the three, maybe we give you a little sneak peek in what happens in the afternoon, which is in the afternoon you could talk to Guido, but also some other colleagues from the NAs and SALTOs, and you could ask the same questions. Yeah. So what is the difference, and where does the 25% come in, and so on? You can also share the concerns. But now with this 10 minutes we have left, we cannot go action by action and the type by type. Yeah. But in the afternoon we will have something that we will call a hotspot, where you would right here have the colleagues, I'm sure they're looking forward to it, from the NAs, from the SALTOs, who will be ready to talk to you and answer as much as they can as well. All right, so nothing is lost. Just want to share that. Tomek?
Just a technical clarification, because it seems it's a misunderstanding. A project can comprise of several activities. So if you speak about one seminar, it's an activity in the project, but you can have several activities in the project. And we talk about 25% in the project, not in every activity in the project. But of course, many of you do projects that comprise of one activity only. And then it's practically per activity.
So, if there are any more questions to clarify on this, because this is where we can offer answers until this point, so no more, then please use the afternoon time to ask for more, yeah? It will be there.
I see the next question, and here again, I'm not sure what grants we're talking about. At the end of the question is, will there be any opportunity for the organization to apply directly to EAKEA for the grants? The grants for?
Key action 2 capacity.
Key Action 2.
You'll come back to us?
We'll come back to you.
Okay.
Then, is K2, in K2, the need to justify partner country partnership with the added value an organization brings leaves room for diverse interpretation, discouragements? Are there plans to clarify this? We will come back. That's a question I've heard before, the question of visas. I am fully conscious of the big difficulties that this issue is creating, notably in the South Med, but not only. I don't have a definite answer. I know it's a big issue. I know it's a big problem. But I today would not be able to give you a definite answer, unfortunately. I'll try to come back with something a bit more elaborate. But for now, I see the problem, but I don't see the solution. I will come back later.
Humanitarian.
Humanitarian. So it's humanitarian aid program. Seems like a very vertical cooperation where we'd have the program countries only sending volunteers to partner countries. Indeed, that's the that's the aim. Where's the horizontal cooperation? What do you mean? What do you mean horizontal cooperation?
So I assume, and then maybe people can clarify, it can also be with between partner countries, but also between program countries. So it's not just
no. It's from program countries to partner countries. Yes, that's the way it goes. And for that, you need a host organization in the partner country. But the whole idea is to send the eligibility for the young people is that they are residents in a program country, long-term residents in a program country. So they don't need to have the nationality, but they need to be residents in a program country. So yes, it is one way. It is outwards from Europe, generally.
Mm-hmm. And I think it will probably depend very much on how it will be framed, what will be the activities as well, yeah? Because I see the white savior complex, so depending on what kind of activities there is, maybe there is still a potential there for the... But as we understand, this is how it is at the moment.
The upcoming project?
And this is the one that I think when we were checking, we didn't understand. The upcoming projects... So maybe the person that asked, or maybe the people that upvoted, if they...
In E+ or Solidarity Corps? That would be the first question. Nobody asked the question.
Apparently so. But it was the boat asked the question and then it was upvoted.
It was just a test to see if the app was working.
So the quality label, I think no, it was similar to the first question. If it's about the humanitarian aid.
Well, it is new for humanitarian aid, yes, because there will be a specific quality label for humanitarian aid, which means those organizations that have already been granted the quality label for the Solidarity Corps will need, if they want to participate in this new sub-program, they will need to undergo a new application for the specific quality label for humanitarian. And why, just in 1 minute, why is there a specific quality label? It's because the conditions of deployment are very different, in particular as regards safety and security. It's very important that we are sure that the organizations that send kids around the world do it in a professional and serious way. And that's why there is a specific quality label. And that's also why the young people who want to volunteer in the humanitarian aid, they have to go to undergo a compulsory training, which is not the case of the volunteers in the classic Solidarity Corps.
Thank you very much. And I think here we will stop. There are more questions, but we have lunch waiting for us. But as we promised, and this is why they're in Menti, that the questions stay. They will be taken by Pierre, I guess the ones that are relevant to be taken back to the Commission and seek for answers, because you did promise to come back to us.
I did.
Very good. And then there will be
and it was recorded, so.
Exactly, yeah, exactly there. And also then there will be questions that the colleagues from the NAs and SALTOs will be able to answer in the afternoon. That was the afternoon. Yeah, in the afternoon, exactly. And we will announce how it will work anyways in the afternoon, so we'll understand exactly, and even tomorrow, yeah? So there is plenty of opportunities to answer that. And now at the end, I just wanted to highlight, first to thank you for being here with us. You said a few times that you're new, so I think
Thank you for your patience and indulgence.
So I think it was actually very brave to come and also say, I think it's fair enough. Look, I'm new, I'm interested, I would like to contribute, but I don't have all the answers. So I'm personally very grateful.
I think you saw that.
Yeah. But also that we acknowledge that potential frustration that came in the room, yeah? Because if you have questions and they're not answered, that it might be lead, then okay, but then what do we do now? So hopefully we will manage to answer some of them later on. And hopefully you still have energy to ask them and to work towards actually finding the answers that you need to stay in this cooperation. So thank you all as well.
In
and thank you
principle,
once
it should be only a temporary frustration.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. We will try to diffuse it. Thanks a lot. There is lunch break now, and then we will see you back here at 2:30. Enjoy your break.